Am I the a-hole for changing clothes in front of my dad and telling his new girlfriend that she should not make a big deal about it? I am 26, and my fiancé and I went to Mallorca with my dad and his new girlfriend. They are both 52. We went to a shop to buy a dress for me, and there was no changing room for me to try it on, but rather a hidden corridor at the back where the lady told me I could try on the dress. I went back there with my fiancé, and I saw that my dad and his girlfriend followed us. It was a very small shop though. Because I had a bra on, I just removed my dress and tried the new one. It was fine. The three of them made a positive comment about it. I removed the dress, dressed back, and we moved on. A few hours later, the girlfriend of my dad asked me if we could have a word, and she said how shocked she was that I stripped down in a ridiculous G-string in front of my dad and that she would appreciate if I never did that again because I am no longer a little girl. I said that my underwear was not showing more than what my bikini was showing all the previous days, that my fiancé was here, and that I never asked my dad nor her to follow me in the corridor when clearly, they knew I was going to try on the dress. I just feel the atmosphere is a bit weird now. So, am I the a-hole?
Today, I effed up by telling my wife her sister is a 6. Today, my wife and I were talking about superficial stuff like looks. I mentioned how I think people tend to rate others too highly, often giving out 9s or 10s, when most people are probably closer to a 5, which I see as average. I explained that we probably know a few folks who might be a 6 or 4, fewer who could be a 7 or 3, only a handful who might be seen as an 8 or 2, and almost none who could be considered a 9 because perfection just doesn't exist. Then my wife asked me where her sister would fit into this rating system. I instantly said she's a 6, with some extra explanation that it's more towards the higher end of 6. I also mentioned that I see myself as more of a 5 as well, not super attractive, but maybe a bit better than average. But my attempt to explain that being a 6 is an okay kind of beautiful seemed to upset her, especially since the sister I'm talking about is her identical twin. The reasoning behind that number is that I don't want to make things weird. Looking back, I realized that these kinds of shallow conversations aren't good for relationships because there is no scenario where I would win, and it would eventually lead to hurt feelings. Now, I need to figure out how to make things right and show her that her rating, in my eyes, is in fact an 11. Am I the a-hole for waiting out my prenup before divorcing my cheating wife? My wife settled for me. I didn't know it when I married her, but I do now. She was in love with her high school boyfriend that her parents hated. She was with him all through university. Her parents finally told her that they would cut her off financially if she stayed with him. We met soon afterwards, and I fell in love. She did not. Once again, this was a surprise to me. We had a prenup that her parents insisted on. I was in it for the long haul, so I had no problem with it. I basically got nothing if we divorced before we were married for 10 years. After that, it was an even split as long as I was not the cause. She was boinking her old boyfriend our entire marriage. I found out after we were married for 8 years. I was angry and depressed. I had spent 8 years supporting her and her career. She has a much better paying job than I do. It is high profile, and she deals with our government a lot. I decided that I could handle 2 more years of infidelity. I had already done 8 unknowingly. I filed for divorce on the day after our 10th anniversary. I didn't do anything dirty like send the evidence I had to her parents. I just had a lawyer draft claim for divorce. Included was the evidence that the prenup had lapsed and our holdings were to be split. She said that I blindsided her after our holiday away, and she doesn't understand why I would do it. I said that I just don't think we are compatible anymore. I am prepared to go nuclear if I have to, but I don't want our kids, and yes, they are mine. I checked, knowing why we split. I am keeping the evidence I have on her boyfriend in my pocket. I can destroy his marriage and make her parents furious at her if I absolutely must. I just prefer to end things with me in a decent financial position to take care of the kids. Am I the a-hole for what I did? Would I be the a-hole for refusing to financially support my sister's child after a family secret was revealed? This is some real messed up family drama. I, 32M, have a younger sister, 27F, who recently had a baby. The family was thrilled until a bombshell dropped. Turns out, my dad isn't her biological father. My mom had an affair, and the guy skipped town when he found out she was pregnant. My sister's world shattered. My sister always struggled financially. Our dad, believing she was his, set up a trust fund for her child. After the truth came out, he was devastated and withdrew the fund, saying he can't support a lie. My mom is a mess, and my sister is now destitute. I'm financially stable and could easily support them, but I feel torn. My dad's my hero, and I understand his pain. He feels betrayed. Part of me thinks, why should I clean up this mess? But then, there's this innocent kid involved. My family is pressuring me to step in, but I'm hesitating. Am I the a-hole for considering not helping out, given the whole situation? Shouldn't my sister take responsibility for her financial situation, even though this family secret wasn't her fault? How do we balance loyalty, responsibility, and the well-being of an innocent child in such a messed up situation?
Am I the a-hole for rejecting the worst name ever for our offspring? So, my husband, 38M, and I, 36F, are expecting our first child, a bouncing baby girl due in a few months. We were both over the moon when we found out the gender, but now things have gotten complicated, to say the least. See, when we first started talking about names, the boy name was immediately decided, Stuart Jr., after my husband. No problem there, it's a classic name and carries family meaning, but for a girl, things got murky. My husband suggested Stuarta, and no, you're not having a stroke. Apparently, his logic is that since Stuart ends in T, we can just add an A to make it feminine. I tried explaining why that doesn't quite work, how it sounds more like a furniture brand than a human name, how she'd be endlessly correcting people and explaining its origin. He was adamant though, saying it honors him while giving our daughter a unique name. I've suggested alternatives, feminine names that maybe share a similar sound or meaning to Stuart, names he's mentioned liking in the past, even just going back to the drawing board entirely, but he's fixated on Stuarta. Now, I love my husband dearly, and I understand wanting to honor family, but I can't imagine subjecting our daughter to a lifetime of awkward stares and endless questions about her unusual name. I also worry about potential bullying and the impact it could have on her self-esteem. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to budge on Stuarta? Is there any compromise I haven't considered? Help a soon-to-be mama out.
Am I the a-hole for making sure my girlfriend doesn't have STDs? I, 25M, asked my girlfriend, 22F, to get tested a couple of months ago. She did and sent me the results. She had gone on 2 dates with someone who told her he had herpes before they got intimate, and I thought she had STDs and was photoshopping the results, so I kind of broke into her account to see the original ones. It took a whole day, so when she asked me what I was doing all day, I casually told her that I was writing a code to get into her lab results. She made a big deal initially, but then decided to forgive me. However, today I saw a tweet about a guy whose partner knew she had HPV and didn't disclose it, so I started panicking because my girlfriend hadn't even gotten tested for HPV. She's a virgin, so they wouldn't do a swab test for her. I do some research about HPV and check some intimate pictures, which she sent me consensually. I zoomed into her private area to check for symptoms of HPV. She is really upset about this and is saying it is an invasion of privacy, especially because of the event that happened prior. So, am I the a-hole? Edit.
Girlfriend here, this is a shared account, so please stop downvoting him, it's hurting me too. He grew up with crazy religious parents and we are both virgins, except I have done mouth stuff before. We posted on here because it was a small disagreement, but after reading your responses, I'm rethinking the whole relationship, so thanks for that. I did not know how bad it was until almost all of you pointed it out. Am I the a-hole for refusing to wear a bra when my roomie's boyfriend stays over? I don't wear bra at home, I go to college, then library, then work, and then gym. I leave at 7 a.m. and get back around 10 p.m. Usually, I take a quick shower when I get home, then make a snack and just relax for an hour before bedtime. On weekends I barely leave the apartment except the occasional outing with friends or colleagues. My roommate and I are very close, but now she has been biting my head off about me not wearing a bra at home. I was confused, then she explained that it was about her boyfriend. I laughed in her face and told her to put a bra on his eyes instead. She got very upset, but I told her that I wasn't interested in her boyfriend, like, in the slightest. She got offended and said that he wasn't interested in me either, so I said, then why are we arguing? It is only an issue if we were interested in each other. Tell him next time he sees me braless, he can pretend that I am a wall. According to her, it wasn't about interest, but about being invasive, and he felt uncomfortable. She asked, would you think that it was fine if he showed his pickle? I called her stupid because I was in my home, I wouldn't go braless in his home, and if he chose to be naked in his home, the only right I have is to get the heck out of there. She called me an a-hole, but I don't think so. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for wanting to take my bio kid to Disney and not including my bonus kids? I, 31F, have a kid, too, with my boyfriend, 31M. He also has 2 kids from a previous relationship, 8 and 9. I am the breadwinner due to him not being able to keep the good jobs. We lost our rental a couple of months back due to his lack of financial responsibility. I did not know he wasn't making payments towards certain bills, therefore, me paying for everything plus playing catch-up became too much. During these past couple of months, we have been living with his parents, and our goal was to pay off our debt. Well, I've caught up on nearly $10K on debt while he's been able to only pay off $500. I do give him grace knowing he doesn't make much money, however, I know he has no other payments other than his phone and daycare, therefore paying a little extra towards debt should not be an issue. Anyway, this summer I really wanted to take a trip out to Disneyland. I told him about us going as a whole, he agreed. Well, as it gets closer, he's now saying we don't need to go, it's going to be too hot and it's too packed, the little one won't remember, the older kids aren't that into Disney anymore. He tends to do these types of tactics when he realizes he can't financially do it. I have no issue doing 50-50, but that's where he won't meet me halfway, he'd rather no one go. So my question is, would I be the a-hole if I decide to make it a trip with just my bio kid and me, and him pay his way if he can afford it? I hate this situation, but I am a firm believer in not letting my kid lose out on experiences if others aren't willing to do that for them. This is why I work so hard, so she will never miss out on anything and have everything she wants and needs. Would I be the a-hole if I texted my husband's best friend, female, to see her reaction? My husband has this best friend from college time. I never had issues with her until my wedding a month ago when my maid of honor overheard her snapping at another friend of theirs that she has him when she wants him in response to the friend teasing her that she lost him and he was the one who got away. I told my husband about it a few days ago. I didn't want to ruin our honeymoon, but it was still on my mind, but he denied anything happened between them. He was very calm when he said it, almost too calm. Anyway, I have no proof and I trust him. Until I used his phone because my battery ran out, he was driving and I was making a playlist on his phone. Then I looked through his iMessages and he had no thread with her. I mean, I know for a fact that they text, but nothing. I didn't say anything, but last night I literally saw her name pop up amongst the texts. When he went to bed I looked and there were no texts from her. He is deleting them. Now my question is, if I ask, he will deny it. I need to know, and I need proof. Would I be the a-hole if I initiated a conversation with her acting like I'm my husband to see what's up? I need proof and peace of mind.
My husband did that in front of me, and I walked out. Am I the a-hole? My husband, 39M, and I, 33M, yes, we are gay, were celebrating our anniversary dinner when a mutual friend came over and sat next to him. We started talking and explaining it was our anniversary. He congratulated us and asked if he should leave. I told him he was welcome to stay. Our food came and we began eating and talking. All seemed normal until about 10 minutes in. My husband goes rigid, and I thought he was having a seizure. I was about to call for help when he gasped, "Frick, don't stop." That's when I knew what was happening. My heart felt like it was shattering as I looked under the table to see our mutual friend rubbing his no-no spot and a large wet spot spilling through his jeans. It wasn't very manly of me, but I began crying and he told our mutual friend to leave. He said he was sorry and that he didn't know how to tell the dude to stop and that he just got lost in it and assumed I knew what was happening, so they kept going. I just stood up and walked out. He began bombarding my phone with calls and texts which I largely ignored, but I did read a couple of his texts saying I was overreacting and it was no big deal and that I was an a-hole for walking out on our anniversary. He claims it wasn't cheating as he thought I had noticed, and my silence was permission, that he never would have let it go that far if he hadn't thought I'd noticed. He would have pushed the friend's hand away. So, am I the a-hole here?
Would I be the a-hole for not inviting my dad's wife to my home because she is afraid of dogs? A little backstory, my dad left my mom for another woman about 20 years ago. He married her about 12 years ago. He has always pushed her on us and it's frustrating. He can't do anything or go anywhere without her. He won't even talk to us, 3 adult kids, without being on speakerphone with her in the room. We have all told him we don't like it, but he continues to do it, so none of us have a deep personal relationship with him anymore. This week, I asked my dad, who's very handy, if he would do me a favor and stop by my condo to replace my bathroom faucets for me. I rarely ask him for help, but he's recently retired and said he wants to be more helpful. I said I'd make dinner for him. He says sure, we will be there around 3 p.m. My dad's wife is terrified of dogs, and I have a 1-year-old overly friendly pup who is not going to leave her alone. I asked my dad what he would like to do about that situation. He said, one of them will have to go. Would I be the a-hole to say she shouldn't come or I will just hire someone to do it? My dog is going to whine and cry if I lock him in a bedroom for a couple hours and I don't have a yard to put him in. It's going to be stressful while also trying to make dinner. I left my boyfriend's house because I was tired of watching his niece and nephew. Am I the a-hole? I, 23F, stayed at my boyfriend's, 28M, house last night. My boyfriend and his sister live together, and his sister has 2 kids, a son, 4, and daughter, 11 months. I usually don't stay at my boyfriend's house to avoid waking up in the morning to kids yelling and just being loud. I do love kids, but right now, I don't see myself being a caretaker of any kids. This morning his sister left the kids with him and I. Around 10 a.m. I woke up and said hi to the kids and he asked me to watch them for a couple of minutes while he cleaned. I didn't mind because I thought it would take, at most, an hour. But after 4 hours of trying to calm down the 11-month-old and answering his nephew's 1001 why questions, I was a bit fed up. Around 2:30 I told him I was going to head home. He asked why. I told him I honestly didn't plan on spending my first Saturday off from work and school like this. All my friends are at the beach and having fun and I'm stuck here taking care of kids. He got mad and said he couldn't believe I was saying that and why couldn't I just help him. Then he said he can see we have very different morals and that it's good I'm not considering kids anytime soon. I told him it is good and that I'll be going home to spend time with my friends and family. So, am I the a-hole?